Welcome to the Championship Club podcast. I'm your host Michael Casey, and co-hosting with me is a man with over 300 Championship rugby appearances. It's Ben Gulliver. Be sure to check us out on social media at Champ Clubs Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and head to YouTube to like and subscribe to the channel. Before we kick off today's episode, I'd like to say a big thank you to our brand new and shiny sponsor, Trojan Engineering Fabrication, part of the MFH Group, and you can check them out at mfhire.co.uk. So we are back on the Championship Clubs podcast, and the regular season is now over. All that remains are the two-legged playoff between Sarries and Ealing Trailfinders. Ben, final round of fixtures, as always, throwing up some interesting results, some that have gone to form, and I think a competitive final round of fixtures to round off the season.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it was, and you've just thrown me there by calling me Ben. I don't think you've done that yet. So. But yeah, going back to it, the fixtures-wise, very close, weren't they, this weekend? Obviously got the big final to look forward to. Just run through them. Bedford getting their first win over Ampthill in the Championship, which would be a surprise to a lot of people, but that's the first time they've actually got a W over their local rivals in the league. So fair play to Bedford. I know they celebrated well, but Ampthill have had another steady year in the league, haven't they? So fair play to Ampthill. Seem like they're here to stay in the Championship, which is good for those guys and the people involved at that rugby club. And I'll go second down my list. The one that makes me laugh is the Surrey Harper game. That was the closest one of the weekend because it was a draw. So I'm not sure how they came up with that one, but it is what it is.
I'm not sure we've heard the last of that.
No, and I think it's right for Sarries to appeal it. I know it probably won't affect the outcome of the league, but I just think that there's a line in the T's and C's of the competition about integrity, and I'm not sure that result has that. So, that's an interesting one because I bumped into some Sarries fans on Sunday watching the Women's Prem final, and they were as baffled as everybody else. So, who knows on that one? We'll move on. We could go on all day about that. Richmond Cov. Richmond struggling again. Cov getting a big away win. Looking at their Instagrams, they look like they've had a good time since as well. So good on those lads at Cov. And then Jersey with the hoodoo on Pirates still by the looks of it. I know Pirates have managed to win over there at some point, but then Jersey picking up a good tight win against Pirates. And like I said, they seem to do really well against Pirates, especially on the island. And then we've got the final fixture, haven't we? So I'll hand you over for that one, which was another tight game. But I'll leave you to introduce our guest for that.
Yeah, so the final fixture of the weekend, Doncaster Knights versus Nottingham. From my perspective, delighted to say that Doncaster battled to get a bonus point win, 29-24. And to talk about the weekend's result and much, much more, I'm delighted to say we're joined by Doncaster Knights head coach Steve Boden. Bodes, how are you getting on? And now you've had a chance to reflect and to dry out from the weekend. What did we make of the Nottingham game?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I had to get rid of my thick head on Sunday morning for a few beers after the game, which was nice. It was good. Probably had a look at it. I think first and foremost, I think you've got to give a lot of credit to Nottingham. I thought they were really good. I thought they came and they played. It was the last game of the season, and I think they showed a lot of desire. Obviously Neil Falks was probably his last game in charge. I think that probably emotionally charged him a little bit, and rightly so. He's been a really good servant to the club, but I thought they played some really good stuff. I think we probably weren't where we wanted to be, probably more mentally than anything, and we didn't really. I think it was one of those games where we just tried to do enough all the time. If they scored, we get revved up and we go back and we score, and it was one of those sort of games really. But first and foremost, you don't want to take any credit away from Nottingham. I thought they were really good on the day, so we were happy to scrape over the line last play of the game, and that's probably how the game went. It was yo-yo to and fro, and we seemed to pick it up a little bit with energy every time we needed to, which isn't where we've been all year. But as I say, a win's a win, and it was a good end to the year or the season as such.
No, it's just looking from the outside and looking at your season this year. You've had a great year, finishing third in the league. Now, there's been some tight ones in there, haven't there, over the whole season? I think the first one at Ampthill was a tight one. And what sort of, if you just crept through, or has been a bit real shift from last season to this season into that sort of mentality side of Donny coming through those tight games?
I think it's a really good point, Gully. I think I think I'd say, and this is not disrespect to opposition, I think that the games that we have won tightly, I feel like we've had massive parts of the game where we've dominated. Now, end of the day, you've got to score points. Dominating is great, but you've got to score points. And we've probably been guilty of that, of like not turning, as early on in the year, not turning that sort of pressure into points. And that's why the games became so close. Like, I think, Ampthill away, I think really in the first 30 minutes should have been, we should have 4 or 5 like obvious opportunities where we should have scored. And credit to Ampthill, that sort of side, they just dig in, they don't let go. And they keep pestering away at you. They're paying the backside. Do you know what I mean? But it came down to sort of a last minute win. But yeah, I think what I would say is that the resilience the boys have shown. I think the way that we've gone and we've recruited this year, we've gone like a more younger, hungriness or more ambitious mindset. Is that they never went off task. They never panicked. I think some of the for a young group, some of those games they could have quite easily chased or tried to do something differently, and they just stuck to their task really well, I think. And that's credit to some of the coaching staff with Joe and Nathan Smith and Joe Ford. I think they've done a great job in keeping them and working with them on that. But I think it just comes down to that hunger and desire, I think. And having that younger sort of age demographic has definitely helped us scrape over the line in those games. But I think we're fully aware, and I'm a moody Yorkshireman anyway, but I think it's like you don't get too far ahead of yourself, and you've got to keep your feet on the ground. And we have finished third this year. It's been an unbelievable achievement for the club. But there's probably 3 or 4 games there where we've won by a score, and we all know they could go the opposite way very easily by a decision from a referee or the bounce of the ball. So we're in full. We're fully aware that if we want to try and get anywhere near where we are this year again, we're going to have to be working extremely hard and be even better next year.
With sort of next year in mind, and sort of the way the league's being structured, and with the finances that have changed, is there or has there been a shift in sort of recruitment strategy at Donny? From, you've obviously mentioned an age thing there. Is that a conscious thing the club's made to see you through this challenging period? And without being too controversial, it is a challenging period. We're not shy of that. And is it a slightly different approach to the players you're looking to bring in?
A little bit. I would say. I'll say it's a little bit. We can't go and get like, what I'd like to do is blend it with like some experience. A little bit like I've got this year. We've got some experience, and we've got a lot of young guys, and we're probably not going to miss a little bit of experience next year. But at some point, we've got to make that change. There's some guys like Charlie who's been there. He's 37 now, and he's been trucking along forever. I'm sure you've had plenty of battles on the way with him. But at some point, that's got to change, and you can't be scared of it. But I would say that it definitely helps that you've got the younger age demographic for us. You haven't got a lot of these guys haven't got house to pay for. They haven't got kids. They haven't got mortgage. So they do fit within the budgets that we run at Donny now. And our budget at Donny has been massively scaled back over the last 12 months. It's nothing that's unordinary to me. I've worked with this sort of budget before when I've been at Jersey. And you just got to be smart. And I think you've also got to trust your eye that you're not going to get. I talk to the staff now. I've got 2 young staff underneath me who are very, very, very good coaches, but you're not going to get the proven article. You're going to get somebody that something is massively wrong with them. Do you know what I mean? But what is the other stuff that outweighs it? And the thing that they've got an error in the game around, can we work on that and get him to where he needs to get to? Yeah. And also we like to look at people saying like, could we get him to the next level? Has he got the potential to get to Premiership rugby? And if the answer is there is potential to do that, then that's something that we'll take the punt on. If it's a case of going, I prefer to take someone like that, Gully, than somebody that's gone, right, he's 32, he's coming here just to pay his mortgage, and he's not that bothered, And we've been really lucky because some of the older guys we've had this year just love playing rugby. Yeah. Which I think you touched on when you went to Ampthill.
Yeah.
You got that back, and you got that, and now I think you need that. You either need to love playing rugby, like Matt Challoner will be playing rugby, I reckon, when he's 55. Do you know what I mean? But
Right in the locker, mate.
Yeah. But do you know what I mean? You either love playing rugby or you're doing it to get onto another level.
Yeah.
I think, and that's what we try and think about doing. So you're either really good for the environment, like your Charles and stuff, your Ben Hunters, or you're young, you're hungry, ambitious, and you want to come here, put in, and move on, which we're all aware of and we're all happy with.
Mate, and we're all aware, like I've probably a little bit guilty of it or being involved with taking a contract that you shouldn't really, taking the wrong reasons. But the thing is, there's no other option. But I think because there's a lot more awareness around the potential sort of exit out of rugby now, you're a little bit more open to change and to moving into a different type of rugby, to enjoy the product, enjoy what you do every day, and take the job alongside it. If you're, like you say, if you're knocking on like at the later stage of your career and you're taking contracts for the wrong reasons, then it really affects not only the person that's doing it, but it's also the group dynamic, isn't it? And that's something as a head coach you'll have to be aware of, is you don't want mercenaries. They're out there, because they ruin the group dynamic, and when it gets tough, you know, where they go missing more often than not. So
I think you just got to be upfront with them when you are recruiting as well. Because I think like we're prepared to have a nice conversation here. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, look, you know, there's some guys where it's look, you're not in the, you know, the younger part of your career, but I do feel you can come here and you can have some fun. I think sometimes as well, even like Premiership rugby and down, we work extremely hard here at Doncaster. Like we train very, very hard, and that's why we probably got some good results this year. But I feel like we've got a good balance of that. I think we have a lot of fun as well. You know, I think it's important that, you know, beer is not the devil. Do you know what I mean? You can have a beer, train hard, and you can still get success. You can have a bit of fun in between. Do you know what I mean? Sessions. You can have fun in the session. You just got to be able to flick the switch and just crack on with it. And you know, as long as you're giving your all and you're trying to progress, and the team's doing, you know, and try to progress the team, and I don't see why it should be a job that you shouldn't enjoy. And I think sometimes there's too much pressure put on it, where it's like, oh, we need to be top four, or we need to, I need to be getting a Premiership contract in a year's time. It's like, you shouldn't be thinking about that. What you should be thinking about is, you've got a great job, enjoy it. And I think COVID's actually helped us this year, Gully, because we actually came in and just said, like, we've had this taken away from us for quite a long time. That was one of the first things we talked about as a group. And it's like, look, at one point it was like, oh, it's going to start, it's not going to start, it's this, it's that. And we just sort of touched on it and went, look, whatever happens, it happens. We can't do much about it. But let's just make sure that every day we have, let's just enjoy it. And we are going to work hard. And there's some things that you might not enjoy more than others, but find a way of enjoying it as a group. And I think without COVID, would we have adopted that mindset as a coach? Has it definitely helped me around that area of coaching and keeping the side upbeat? I would definitely say it's definitely changed the way that I've done stuff, and for a positive way. I think it made me a lot better in that area.
We've talked, and we go through, there's obviously been 11 teams in the league this year, hopefully 12 next year, and each side has sort of like adopted their strategy for the season and how they're going to go about it. Sort of listening to what you said there, Boden, in our conversations previously, at the moment, and for as long as hopefully we will see Doncaster going to stay full time, it sounds like the sort of, you position yourself in a way that you're telling lads to come in, enjoy your rugby here, and, you know, if you do a couple of seasons and if you do a good job here, that's your stepping stone, and then you go on. There's maybe not the budget to be a wealthy man for playing rugby at Doncaster, but the opportunity and the coaching that you're going to get put into you, that's what we're kind of saying the investment is.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, look, like one of the first conversations I have with lads, I'm like, I can't offer you a life-changing money. Do you know what I mean? So if you come in here for money, well, you come in for the wrong reasons, because you can go and earn more money getting a job, I imagine. Now, they're quite hard to come by these days, but you can. What I can offer you is, I can offer you an environment that challenges you. And I think when you get challenged, I think you grow as a person. When you grow as a person, you usually have fun. We'll have a good crack on the way. And if at the end of that you play some outstanding rugby for Doncaster, and the team goes well, then there's a good chance that you're going to get your individual reward. And one thing we have done here is we don't make any shame in it. Look, I want to coach in the Premiership. That's what I want to do. and I want the people that have got the same mindset as myself. And yeah, like I said, we're gonna have a bit of a crack on the way, but we do want to kick on in our careers, and don't hide away from that. You know what I mean? But just also don't put too much pressure on it either. Like I said, there's no point putting all that pressure on it, not getting there and thinking, well, I could have been having a bit of fun there as well. Yeah, you could have done. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's the main message is you come here, you put in 2 years, we'll get a lot of time as a coaching, you'll get a lot of individual time, and hopefully that moves on to better stuff. And like I say to the lads, the worst case scenario, you come here, you enjoy your time, and you have 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And you play a great game. You're playing rugby for a living, and it's opened up a lot of other doors, opportunities for the later stage of your career, because rugby does that if you're smart enough. And that's the worst case scenario that you're looking at. When you put it in that perspective, I wish someone had said it to me when I was playing, because I'm thinking, actually, yeah, it's not a bad crack, actually. You know what I mean?
When did it change, Bodes, for or when did you realise coaching was the journey you wanted to go on? Was it quite early in your playing career, or was it sort of something towards the end where you think get into it now? Or
I've always been interested in it. I think probably the back end of my career, I started doing some work with like some of the sort of amateur sides at Doncaster. I started really enjoying it. And then I just sort of fell into it at Jersey, really. I went to Jersey, and then an opportunity came up within the staff. And I was retiring my neck. I had a neck injury. I pretty much went over there. Ben Harvey was a DOR at the time. And Ben Harvey, I said to him, look, I can come over. I'm a senior player now. I was like 29, 30. I won't be able to play every game. I was pretty upfront with him. I've got, quite a few issues around playing every week. And I started every game for the first 11 games, I think. And then I was literally at Christmas, and I think the least amount of minutes I played was like 72 minutes. And I was like, I was broken, went for a scan on my neck, and they were just like, they suggested that I retire, basically. There's an operation I could have, or I could retire. Yeah. Being brutally honest, did I have the desire to have an operation, go through rehab and think about getting back? No, I didn't have it. I didn't have that passion anymore to play. And it was my passion was starting to do with helping people and coach. And I fell into it there, and I just loved it. And I was really lucky and I'm grateful that Ben Harvey gave me the opportunity to go on the staff and give me a lot of reign to coach. And I think we were like bottom of the league at that time. We stayed up, and then it just went from there, really. But yeah, I've always enjoyed it, and I think it was not hard. You played against me, Gully, but I think I feel like I'm a lot better coach than I am a player, and I feel like I've got a lot more passion for it. I feel like I feel like I've, especially the later, like sort of from 26, 27, 28, probably my passion for playing the game started to dwindle a little bit, or probably from 27 onwards. And I just feel like I've got a huge amount of passion for coaching and working with people. And I'm really glad that I've got into it and had the opportunity to go into it.
So just for those that might not be fully aware of your sort of coaching progress, Bode's obviously started at Jersey, then on to Carnegie. So if you talk us through from the rest of that up to present day.
Yeah, so I also went to Jersey. I had 4 years there, working with Ben Harvey and Harvey Biljon, and they were great for me. I got a lot of exposure to coaching. I got chucked in the deep end a little bit. I was probably coaching far too much. There was times where I was coaching, set piece, breakdown, attack, defence, back starters. It was crazy workload, but I think it was brilliant for me. So I learned so many different aspects of the game. I made a lot of mistakes. I'll be honest, I think my man management when I was in Jersey was pretty atrocious. I just come out of playing where I just thought you could scream at everybody and you could, you get results. And
that's where sort of coaching and the playing group has changed massively from we were playing. Is the delivery and what players need and want is so different to what we'd have required, or maybe we did need it and we didn't know it. But it's one of those. It has changed massively, hasn't it? How you deliver.
Ginormously. I think, like I said, you won't even some of I think obviously the lads and the generation that are coming through now. They need to know why they're doing stuff, and they need to know they need to have input into that, which I think is important. And I'm massively, we buy into that massively at Doncaster now. But I think, I look back now, on how I coached, especially the first 2 years at Jersey, and I cringe, and I just think you're an absolute dickhead of a bloke, basically. I mean, I am still a dickhead of a bloke now at times. Before Casey goes at me, I can see it on the tip of his tongue. But yeah, no, I think it's just like I said. I think when you put your ego aside as a coach and you actually start to realise that you're absolutely nothing without the players, you start to realise how important they are and that's the main thing. And I think that's something that I grasp massively. I tell you, I worked with who was great for it. I worked with Jimmy Lowe's at Carnegie,
right?
And I think Jimmy, he come from rugby league, and there's parts of his game which he probably he's first to admit he didn't know much about, But as a man manager and getting boys on side and keeping them on side and getting them to play for you, I think he's one of the best I've ever worked with. So I learned a lot from him, and we had plenty of beers that year and plenty of talks, and I did learn a huge amount from him around that, which I thought was really important for me, because I think that's knowledge was something that I felt like I always had a good knowledge and a good way of getting that knowledge across. But that's great, but if half the room think you're a dickhead, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, because they don't listen.
No.
Where if you've got them on side straight away and you learn how to work with people. And I've had a lot of, obviously I work with people like Jimmy, but I've had to self-educate myself a lot of stuff as well. And I'm not the most educated bloke, do you know what I mean? I've had to start reading, which was tough at first. It was like, I've had to do a lot of reading, and it's definitely helped me. So, but yeah, that's one thing I definitely say I've improved in. But went to Carnegie from Jersey, so Carnegie came in, and they I was in contract at Jersey, and they got me out of my contract in Jersey. So they were going for a big push to the Premiership at the time. There was Brian Redpath, who was there, Jimmy, Alan Tate. And we had a good push at it. We got to the champ final against Irish. We came just short. And then obviously money problems started to come at the club. And then the last year that I was there, they went into administration. And it was pretty messy. I'll be honest, we had a really good year. I worked under Chris Sterling then. Mm-hmm. You'll know Sterlo.
Yeah.
I'm still in contact now.
Yeah,
he's an unbelievable bloke. Yet again, man management. I learned a load about how to keep the group in a good place.
Sterlo, he's one of the only ones I had that got me.
Yeah.
I was quite, it's you look back at your career, and he was good for that, and he understood the whole squad, and it's the individual conversations with people and that side of it. That's what I really liked about Sterlo. So. I learned a lot around that with him. He's brilliant. Yeah.
I still have a good chat with him now, and just he's great to just pick his brains on a few bits, especially around people. I think he's brilliant around people, Sterlo. And I learned a lot from him. Like, we've got a saying here at Donny which is sort of a little bit from him. It's like, if you're a weird bloke, then be a weird bloke.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Don't change to come into our environment. Our environment will like cater for you, if that makes sense, and we'll find a way of you fitting in. And that's something that, as a staff, I think it's somewhere we can improve. I think we're doing a decent enough job at it, but I think we can improve massively. We're probably letting those people express themselves a little bit more within the group. Do you know what I mean? Giving them more chance to do that. But it's been tough with the COVID stuff, obviously, and not being able to, be within 2 meters of each other, and this and that and the other. It's something we're definitely looking to grow next year. But
it's such a great saying. I think of players that I've played with, or players that I've coached over the years, that because they're a little bit different, they probably didn't feel comfortable in the group, and they get isolated, and then they may be performing well, but they're not enjoying themselves, are they? And you kind of look back and think, shit, what was I doing? I was a bit of a dickhead to him. That inclusivity is huge, and if you've that expression's great, because it does bring them in, and it also, I'll tell you what it does, it grows the individual, it grows the alpha within the group as well, or the the more dominant characters that think they know it all and control meetings and do all of this. And if they're always bossing those things and being in charge, then the person that's not got the same confidence or is a little bit different is not going to be involved in the group. So if you bring in those in, and that's where the game's changed, isn't it? And that's where we've changed, I think, in society a bit as well. It's huge for the development of everybody. It's not just about the certain individual that's dominating every conversation in a meeting, is it?
No, I think that's sort of the other thing we try and talk about it's stuff that we do as a coaching team here. It's something that I've been bad for in the past as a coach, and probably learned a bit more of it. It's like the old, you'll see it on Champ Life. You'll see all those sort of bits, won't you? You see it's like have you watched Huddle? Those sort of bits. And it's like we put clips out, we put reviews out. Now I am expecting boys to watch it because the boys want to have short meetings.
Yeah.
So it's like, look, I'm all for it, but to have a short meeting, we need to know a little bit what's going on online. I'm asking you to watch 5 minutes of footage, and then we can make the meetings 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We're not boring the life out here. Do you know what I mean? But sometimes I'll ask a question, look, what's the main theme of the review? And it's everyone's looking at the floor and you're thinking, right, we haven't watched this here. You know what I mean? It's definitely that's an hour of my time being completely wasted sending that review out. But probably 3 years ago, I'd give him I'd gone through them a little bit.
Yeah.
4 years ago, but now it's just like, look, if you haven't watched it, don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? But I'd like to think that we should know. Somebody in the room should know something, please.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I think what happens then is most of the boys that haven't watched it think, I should have watched that. Yeah. I better watch it next time. But if I'm screaming at him, I think it's a case of going, well, I was gonna watch it if I didn't get a chance, and then he just talked to me like a piece of shit, so I'm not gonna watch it now.
No, you may lose.
Yeah, and then, you know what I mean? But I think, and obviously we've got to go off track a bit there, but the Carnegie stuff, obviously, that just went a bit pear-shaped. It was managed. I could say a lot of stuff on that. And I just think it was managed horrendously, really badly. Right. We're talking about, like we've just been talking about your environment and managing people. I just think the way it got handled and the lack of just general human compassion was a disgrace. Actually, it was one of the meetings that's quite funny because some of the board members came in and basically just came in and spouted loads of garbage and basically just told everyone that if they sign a contract, it doesn't matter. It's done and dusted, pretty much. Some of these lads have moved the families from the other side of the world and stuff. Yeah. And I just got enough of it. I was getting revved up at the back of the room thinking this isn't going to end well.
Yeah.
So my laptop was at the front of the room while this meeting was going on. So I stormed down the front of the room to get my laptop to leave. I couldn't get the charger out of the socket. So I ended up sat there trying to, like this in front of him, trying to make a scene of it. As soon as I got in the room, all the boys were texting me, like, laptop 1, Bodes 0. I was getting destroyed, but yeah, it was just handled horrendously, I think. And I just think that's not the way that people should be treated.
No. Phil mentioned it. Sorry.
Yeah, no, in life. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, Gulliver, but do you know what I mean? That's my opinion on it. I know there's some. The shame is as well is there's some good guys there, and the club's been absolutely hammered, and rightly so. Because as far as I'm aware, it's still the same board that's in charge. So it's my hometown club, but it got to the point where I was just like, look, I'm done. Before it even got to the point where they were cutting salaries off people, this and that and the other, I handed them a notice in. I didn't have a job.
It was that bad.
Yeah, I just got to the point where my values.
Yeah.
Look, I've got a lot of stuff I do a lot of stuff that's not great. I'm pretty sure. Do you know what I mean? And people don't agree with some of the stuff that I do, but one thing that nobody can ever call me is a liar. Yeah. I'm prepared to have a conversation with somebody that's maybe not what they want to hear, but it might be what I want to hear. I'm prepared to have that conversation. And that's all that needs to happen. And I think that's where a lot of businesses, a lot of sport and organisations get it wrong. They just try and wait and wait and wait and wait. and not have that conversation, and then it just goes really bad. Do you know what I mean?
That's a bit like what's happening with the championship in the RFU, mate. But we just won't say anything, and it just keeps going and going and going, and then it will get brushed under the carpet. And
and that's where I think, you know, a sign of strong leadership is just to have that conversation and be prepared to. It's not tough. Like, you know, I found it tough in the head coach role. There's been some big decisions this year that I've had to make, and I'll be honest with you, it's caused a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of sort of, you know, I've been talking to my missus and like, she's been, will you shut up about that? Just, you know what I mean? It's like, but it's been tough. There's been some tough decisions, but you've got to do it, because otherwise you end up in a situation where you like try to bury your head in the sand. Mm-hmm. And what happens? It just gets worse and worse and worse. Yeah. And I've always tried to do that. And like I said, I've got a saying with the boys that I will be brutally honest with them. But if you're brave enough to ask the question, and be brave enough to take the answer. And I live my life by that the other way as well. Like, do you know what I mean? If you want to know something and you're brave and you want to ask the question and ask it, but the answer is the answer. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not. It is what it is. And I think if everyone worked like that in life, I think everything would go a lot smoother. You know what I mean? Sounds too simple, doesn't it?
So, Bode, you've had the opportunity to work as a player and as a coach at obviously two clubs for long periods of time. We've talked on the show sort of the changes that we've seen in the league. So obviously your time at Carnegie and at Knights as a player, how do you think the league stacks up in terms of, I guess it's just its operating environment now now as you're a coach, as it did to back then when you were playing in the league? Or were you perhaps a bit unaware of some of the things as a player that you may be more, in contact with now as a coach?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I think the games and the environment and the leagues has changed, because I think when I first started coming into the league, you were playing rugby, you were getting paid a bit of money, and it was like, brilliant, this is awesome. Do you know what I mean? But I was still going and doing like jobs for myself in between training and stuff. Do you know what I mean? I was a plumber by trade, and I didn't even bat an eyelid about that now. Where like lads now be going, oh, I can't do that because I need to recover and I need to do this. Which I think is important. I think it is important that they get that professionalism part of it right. But I'm a big believer. Like here, I'm like, look, go and do something with your time. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's a lot more of that going on now. I think the lads are quite fixated on being a full-time athlete and fully buying into that, which I think is great. I think there's parts of it that are great, but I also think you've got enough free time that you can do a bit more of it. And I thought the lads, in my era, although I think you actually get a lot more help now, and it's still nowhere near where it should be. I think the support that, for especially championship players could be far better than where it is. But I actually think lads were more proactive when I was playing to furthering themselves outside the game than they are now. Now, and there wasn't even that much help. But for me, I think players could do a lot more than what they're doing at the moment. So I think that side of it was different around. But then again, I think also around the professionalism of what some of the champ clubs are doing now was nowhere near like what goes on now. I think the S&C side of stuff, the medical side of stuff, the nutrition, none of that stuff was even. I remember getting on the bus at Plymouth away, and Paul Devlin was the S&C at the time, and he comes on with just one at Plymouth, and he's giving it the old, right boys, recovery tights on, 2 litres of water, get some really good nutrition in you, get some greens in you, get some protein in you. And Lynn Howells walks on behind him with 5 crates of cider. I was like, shut the fuck up, damn, the boys are bothered. But like, that side of it, I just think that they've got a lot of knowledge these days of the young lads around a lot of stuff, and I think that's definitely changed the environment that's in it. I think the actual product that you're getting on the field, I would say, is a far better product to watch than when I played.
I agree with that, mate.
I think a lot of that's to do with the game has evolved massively. And a lot of what I talked about there, like athletes are a lot more professional. So I feel that that's definitely helping the on-field stuff. But I also think that the league has been branded as an unbelievable environment for set piece and for forwards and there is a lot of that happening. There's a lot of guys that kick on from the Prem. Like we just lost Bomber now. He's got the Scotland squad, which is unbelievable and massive testament to him. But I actually think there's a lot of rugby getting played. And I think one of the biggest positive that's gone on recently with the COVID stuff is that all the games are getting streamed. And I think you can actually watch it. You can even, you can watch a bottom of the table clash, and you could think, oh, that's really good rugby. That they're chucking the ball around, they're moving the ball, and I think, I generally feel that there's a lot more ball in play, and it's a lot quicker and it's a lot more expansive than what people make it out to be nowadays. So I think that's definitely changed.
Quite interesting because I think people are quite quick to talk down on the Championship, and as I say, we know it's got its challenges, but what you've portrayed there, and I think I agree, obviously I've spent 7 years around this league now, I agree with what you're saying. I think that standards have got higher. I think the game's more entertaining, and it's probably credit because we know it's not happened through massive amounts of support from Central, that the league has managed to adapt and acclimatise despite the tough environment that the external factors has put upon it.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I think every game you watch this year, there'll have been 2 or 3 damp squibs, I'm pretty sure. If I actually apologised to supporters behind me at the weekend and said, I'm sorry if you paid for that, because it wasn't the best spectacle. But I would say the rugby on display at the weekend was pretty poor. But the actual, for our game, the actual game, the twos and throws, if you're a neutral support, would have been unbelievable. But I do think there's some great standard rugby played. I think coaches and there's a lot of really good coaches in the league now. I think that's definitely helping. That we're getting guys that want to win the game, win games, but we also want to win it a certain way. Like I think you look at the way that Doncaster played this year, we played a different brand of rugby to what we've done in the past. Everybody's moving the ball more. Everyone's prepared to move the ball more, which I think's definitely going to help the league. But I think, a testament to the players and the league, like you said, without much central funding, we're putting on a product which is fantastic to watch. Now we obviously, if we got better funded and we got helped out in those areas, would that spectacle become even better? Then I don't think it's going to harm it. Put it that way.
Yeah, I also think when you look at the games, and I watched Pirates versus Munster. I played in it, the BNI Cup game, like reminiscing. I looked back at it, I was like, oh my god, this is embarrassing. At the time, it's the best thing in the world, isn't it? That you've won a cup. But the thing that struck me was one, the pitch. We played at Camborne, and I know the Pirates are down at Penzance, but they've invested a lot of money into that pitch now.
Yeah.
So you flick on a stream, the pitches look better, don't they?
Yeah.
As a result, the game's quicker.
Yeah.
You've got more coaches, better coaches, maybe because they're through a third generation of coaches at the club. So they've learned from the previous regime, and they're always evolving, and it just becomes a better product through. And we often look, you can sit on here and say the funding's not great, but the investment in each club individually has produced a better product as well. And it's like credit to every club that's done that, because they could have put that money into the players, but they've spent it well. They've invested in their pitch, they've invested in a commercial team, a social media team, and it's great. And it's at a point you think like we're at a good spot at the moment. It just carry on, and hopefully it can with what the RFU do agree in the end. But it's I think sometimes we do forget what each club has done individually to get where we are now. It's quite easy to just slam other people, but I think fair play to the clubs.
Yeah, I think the commitment when there's at the moment, it's tough for everybody. Obviously, there's a worldwide pandemic on, so you're fully aware of that. But I think I also think testament that the level of rugby that's getting played, like you're saying there, Gully, and there's a worldwide pandemic on, and we're not getting funded to the extent we should be, and we're still putting that product out, is even a greater achievement. And like I said, testament to players from all the league and all the coaches, because it's a really easy opportunity for clubs as well. Just go, do you know what I mean? And down tools. Where I think one thing we, as a championship, I think has definitely got a huge feather in the cap for us this year is that we have behaved like a professional outfit. That simple as that. We're a professional league and we behave like a professional league the whole way through this. Now, yes, there's ongoing arguments and discussions around funding, that we need funding like a professional league. But we have hit the criteria that we have performed like a professional league. So, their discussions is up to them. But for me, and it's only my opinion, and people might say I don't count for much, but it's my opinion, and we've hit that for me. So that's every club.
Yeah,
every
like
club.
an impressive defiance almost. You say operate like a professional league, put on a professional product, and perhaps what's coming from above hasn't been. So, I mean, let's have a look and a bit of a talk about the future. I know we can only talk about what we know and what's been speculated about in the papers and on social media. Bodes, I know that you are now underway with prepping for next season. Knowing the bloke that you are, you'll probably give me an answer along the lines of you not concerned what they talk about, you'll just focus on what we're doing here and all this, which is credit to, and it's working so far. But if you had any sort of say on what the future might look like, a realistic opinion on what the league might look like going forward, where would you point your arrow? What would be your suggestions?
I'd love to see it being a full-time professional team, a professional league, where you'd have every side full-time. I do feel that, like I said, I think that the investment in facilities has been fantastic, and you've seen things like, some people are at different stages up on this journey. You look at Amstel, that you can easily go to Amstel and say, well, the facilities aren't great at the moment, but they've actually invested hugely in those facilities, and they're getting better and better and better. I know they've got plans to move to a different ground and all these sort of things. So, you've got to tip your hat. Like Amstel, fantastic. They're doing everything that needs to be done. But I'd like to see some sort of a full-time, every club full-time, and then maybe a percentage of that funding has to go on like a criteria to be in the league, if that makes sense. So it's pushing that product, like Gulu was saying. Like, you know what I mean? It might be a pitch, it might be a stand, it might be some sort of off-field stuff. But I'd like to see that. And I feel like it should mirror the Premiership. Do I feel like the Premiership should be ring-fenced? Absolutely not. It's easy for me to say that, obviously being in a club that's got, hopefully at some point ambitions to get there. We've got a lot of stuff to tick off on our journey. But I'd like to see that there's a fair pathway between the two leagues. That's what I think, would make sense. Does that mean that you go around the France route where bottom of the Prem plays bottom of top of the champ to go up, and then that team gets that fair funding? Yeah, I think that's more than fair. You've got to remember that these clubs in the Prem are getting heavily financed. And if you're a team that's top of the Championship, and you can beat that team at the bottom of the Premiership, then I think that's fair game. I said that they've got the advantage straight away. It's not a million miles off ring fence with the £2 million or whatever they get. You know what I mean? Pretty fun. So.
I think listening to sort of opinions, I think fairness, transparency, and sort of on-field merit are the three things that need to be almost held sacrosanct. If you beat the team that you're in front of you on the day, or you finish top or whatever, you win a playoff, then you deserve to be in the league, and it needs to be fair. And the route there needs to be transparent for all to see. Because if nothing else, rugby union can be a little bit of a confusing game for those that aren't involved with it. Without, I've got football fans, and you try and explain to them that Premiership clubs are shareholders. What do you mean they're shareholders? I thought you were rugby clubs. It makes the whole job a little bit confusing. So No, I think we agree with that a bit. I know you've been reading up on some stuff, Gully.
Oh yeah, it was the Owen Slot article that was today, just saying about how successful ring fencing would be, and there's no, without jeopardy, the league has proven that it works this year. Premiership rugby, and I think Ben Ward touched on it last week. And I think Boden may be similar. Is that if, as a player or as a fan, I'd rather watch a 25, 26, game with a last minute drop goal that wins it than a 65-35, no one cares defence game. And then I read the article today, and it was off the back of, I know there's been some heavy results in the Championship this league with Saris, but I think that's different because there is a funding thing there. But then if you look at the Exeter game on Sunday, where they put 70 odd on Newcastle, then I just think it's not a great advert for the game, is it? That sort of results at that level is not good, and I think it proves the opposite to what Owen Slot is saying. I think it proves that ring fencing isn't any good, and we do need promotion relegation. Because if I'm a big investor in the Premiership and I'm seeing results like that, I'm questioning my investment. If I'm BT Sport, I'm questioning it. Am I going to put that game on again? Probably not. So it's. I think the promotion relegation, I think the fairness is key. I think that's so good. And I think what you've just said, Bose, and what Ben Ward said last week about if you have an opportunity to go and beat a team on the field and you lose, you've had the opportunity. If you go and win, fucking fair play. And that's what I think everyone's after, that fairness. And if that's the way it needs to go, then I'm all for it. But if it goes the other way, then I think we need to kick up a bit of a fuss.
I said, like the game, would that result have happened if there was relegation involved with the Exeter, Newcastle? Would that have happened? I don't. Well, I'd be gobsmacked if it did. Also, I think that it's common sense that if they lock it off, and they'll say they locked it off for good, they're talking about that. There's been some really, I think, I have to be careful what I say here, but there's been some really uneducated answers or like sort of comments around the Championship's not creating, talent. It's not pushing talent through. It's like, well, that's a ludicrous comment to make when it's proven it does. Yeah. Not just at Premiership level, but these guys are going on and playing international rugby, and these aren't guys that have just gone and had a. You highlight it on this podcast brilliantly, but these aren't guys that have just gone and gone. Oh, I'll have 80 minutes, and then I'm done for the year. These guys have played regular Championship rugby, and they're kicking on to doing brilliant things. Now you've seen it. Now we're recruiting at the moment, and we've got a few. We've done quite a lot of our business, but we've got about 5 or 6 slots to fill. And we're looking at some loan deals, and some lads are just getting farmed out now because they're just not going to play. Yeah. Well, where do these lads play then? If it's ring fenced, tell me where they're playing. Yeah. Because I don't know. So then you're going to get lads now. They can't go to France because there's rulings over there. I just don't see the sense in that. These lads are coming to us now on a season-long loan, but it's basically like he will not play. He hasn't played this year. He won't play all next year because there's no A-League. So then the next step, he could not have played for 2.5 years. And the lads are 22 years old.
And they're pretty useful, these players as well, that are coming through, aren't they? You know what I mean? They're good players, but if you don't play for 2.5 years.
And then you say, why is that? So then at the moment this year as such, the Premiership is ring-fenced. But then how is their path being blocked? Now, is it an English qualified player that's blocking their path? No, it's not. No. So tell me what that's ticking off for the English game then. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I mean, like I said, as I alluded to, I'm not the most educated person, but it don't make sense to me, because surely the best thing for English rugby will be to have 2 full-time leagues, promotion, relegation, and having as many English players playing in that league as possible.
I agree, and the English qualified boys that are blocked, and if you look in your area at Sale, they're blocked by South Africans. And I know there's a different international law on movement of employment there, which I'm not fully aware of myself, but I know there is the reason why you can have a lot of South Africans, but that is blocking an English qualified player.
Yeah. And I just don't think. Well, the be all end all is work visas, permits, this from whatever country you're coming from. Can that player go and play for England? No. Right. Well, there's your answer. It's simple as that. It's like, and surely the idea is to create as much, English talent as possible. The other thing as well is that everyone's talking about finance and how finance has been tough and this and that and the other. The people that are those heavily financed players in the Premiership are probably overseas players. So yet again, I don't see that adding up. But like I said, I've got a lot of stuff on my plate here, so I'll concentrate on that. But I just feel it's one, if we're all aiming towards the best thing for the English game, I think 2 full-time professional leagues with as many full-time professional players vouching to kick on and help the national side. I think that's an outstanding sort of product that we can get to. I think we've proven as well this year that the product, yes, we want as much investment as possible in the Championship. That's a no-brainer, as do the Premiership. So we're supporting that as well. But I think we've proven that we can make a pretty good product on pretty low numbers this year. So I think a little bit more finance would enhance that product even more and help English rugby even more, which I think is the be all end all everyone's after.
Personally, that's a really powerful point. And as you say, if we're not doing this to create more strong English talent that can ultimately go on and play for the national side, then I think the objectives are all out of line at the start point. So, Buzz, thank you very much for coming on today's show. You've been a fantastic guest. Congratulations on a cracking season with Doncaster Knights, and enjoy the few weeks off before pre-season starts again.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys. And like I said, thanks for having me on. I think it's what you're doing for the Championship's brilliant. I think it's giving a little bit of a voice, so giving some exposure to a lot of the good stuff that's going on, because I think there's some brilliant stuff going on. So well done, guys, and keep it up. It's brilliant. It's appreciated.
Cheers, both. Appreciate that, mate.
That was the Championship Club podcast with Michael Casey and Ben Gulliver. Check us out on social media at Champ Clubs Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe and like our YouTube channel.